The quota for S-Pass holders allowed in the construction, marine, shipyard and process sectors is to be reduced from 20 to 15%. The government has indicated a year ago it would tighten the services sector's foreign workforce quota.
And due to economic uncertainties, the manufacturing sector has not been included. The finance minister says these measures will help regulate the inflow of foreign workers, creating opportunities for locals. Mr. Heng has also addressed concerns businesses might have about the availability of skilled manpower in those sectors.
We recognize potential concerns of enterprises about the availability of skilled manpower in these sectors. To help you find skilled local graduates looking to embark on their careers and older local professionals looking for new careers, SSG and WSG will work with you to improve matching. Enterprises that have specific needs can continue to apply for additional manpower flexibilities in exceptional cases through schemes such as the Lean Enterprise Development Scheme.
A key part of Singapore's Budget 2020 is helping companies and workers deal with the impact of the COVID-19 outbreak. Dawn joins us here at the desk, and we're also joined by Ho Meng Kit, CEO of the Singapore Business Federation. Firstly, where or were you surprised by the size of the $5.6 billion relief package?
I was surprised. I actually was glad that we have the resources and the finance minister was prepared to use it to tackle the issue of the virus. These are actually quite exceptional situations in Singapore. We had a survey of our members, and 80% of our members have their turnover reduced by already 50%. So they needed help, and I think the budget package is comprehensive, it's very well thought out. I think it will go some way to support those sectors and companies in the present situation.
So, Meng Kit, you mentioned there that you were surprised, it's an exceptional situation, and that it is actually quite comprehensive. But do you think that any sectors perhaps could have been left out?
I think every sector has been covered. The only sector I feel may not have been well covered would be the retail and the food and beverage sector, particularly if they are using or renting commercial premises, because there the government has no lever. The only lever was that the government gave 15% property tax rebate to the mall owners and the landlord, and urges the landlord and mall owners to pass these savings down. So I urge actually the developers and mall owners to help the retailers and the restaurant owners in their mall to help them survive by following the government's example of giving a longer term rental rebate, because it's no point having a mall with no shops and empty restaurants, right? So follow the government example, give a longer rental rebates for them. I think this will help companies tide over this situation better.
Mr. Ho, going back to the size of these two, in fact, there are two relief packages here. The one for business being $4 billion, even though, market analysts hadn't predicted such a sizable relief package. I mean, there were estimates of $500 to $700 million. Let's not forget that back in 2009, there were relief packages for the global financial crisis that far outweighed that. They went up to $20.5 billion in terms of a resilience package for sectors at that time. Do you think that's an indication at all of the government's optimism, perhaps, that what we're seeing, not just by way of the COVID-19 outbreak, but the other stresses as well, the China-US trade tensions, the slowing economy, that this is temporary?
Yes. Previously, we had the financial crisis, 23 billion, but we only spent less than $1 billion, so we didn't spend a lot of money. This time round, I think this package is only a relief package, it's only a support package. Look, if the hotel occupancy and tourism sectors are down by 50%, whatever the government can put, it was not adequate to meet the full demand. So it will only help to relieve. So businesses have to do something on their own to adjust their capital spending, to adjust their operating spending to cope with this present situation. I'm glad to hear the finance minister say that this is only the initial package, and I urge the government to continue to monitor the situation, because if the crisis goes longer and if the infection is more serious, then I think more businesses will need more help, and I think I hope the government is prepared to come in with supplementary help going forward.
Yeah, we're still not sure how long this sort of COVID-19 is going to be affecting us. The government is enhancing the Adapt and Grow initiative by extending funding. Will this be enough, though, to help companies redeploy workers?
I think it will help, because if you give them 6 months for them to send the workers who might not be gainfully employed for training, this will help the affected sectors. So rather than to redeploy them or retrench them, reskill them for other jobs, and I think this government support would be useful.
Meng Kit, how is the Singapore Business Federation advising its members to prepare for the reduction in the S-Pass quota, though?
I think the writing is on the wall. I think since last year, when the dependency ratio ceiling for the services sector was reduced, it was very clear that the government does not wants to control the number of foreign workers. So it started with the services sector. Now it's moving on to the other sectors, the non-services sector, and it will eventually include the manufacturing sector. So we are advising our members that those are the foreign workers policy of the government, but yet at the same time, the government has availed many schemes in order to help our businesses find the necessary local workers, to match them, to train them, and I think the various trade associations can play a part, partnering the government and with their members in order to help specific companies in this sector go through this period. And I'm glad that there is, it's not going to be, the reduction is not immediate, it is over 2 years, and so there is time for companies to work together with the government and the trade association. But don't waste time, because I don't think the foreign policy of the government is going to change anytime soon.
Mr. Ho, one quick final question before we let you go. With all of these measures that have been put in place, what are your anticipations for what we hope to see, which is some growth for 2020, and how businesses are going to position themselves for that? Or do we have to buckle up for a rough ride ahead?
I can't see so far away. I'm not sure whether we will or will not have a recession this year. We hope not. But one thing I'm certain, that if we work at this together, and if we are confident, and I think we can capitalize on our strength, and the strength is our workers. So workers who are engaged with their companies, well organized together, workers who are reskilled, and we are making full use of all the potential people in our society. I think we are well positioned to go much further for the future. And the world, Asia is in a good place, and Singapore will be a good place forward. So I'm very confident that we all work together, not only to tackle SARS, but to tackle the longer term issues. I think we will be in much better place beyond 2020.
All right, Mr. Ho, thank you very much for sharing that with us this evening. We've been speaking there to Mr. Ho Meng Kit. He's the CEO, of course, of the Singapore Business Federation.